Alright, Bazaar of Baghdad. It is currently a very expensive card, and in this video we are going to be talking about if it's worth buying one, and we are going to be looking at it in 3 different ways. 1. Is it going to be a fun card to play? 2. Is it competitive? Is there a deck out there in EDH that wants to have Bazaar of Baghdad in it? And 3. Is it actually a good investment, or are we just going to lose a lot of money buying an expensive card like Bazaar of Baghdad? So what does it actually do? It is a land that taps for no mana whatsoever. Instead, it taps to draw 2 cards, but then you have to discard 3 cards from your hand. And in this process, you will actually go down 1 card, because if you only have 1 card in hand, you will discard that card and put the top 2 cards of your deck into your graveyard. For some decks, this is just going to destroy your hand. In others, it's going to be an awesome engine, powering out your entire deck into your grave. Before moving further down the road of this video, you might have seen that there's a real copy of Bazaar of Baghdad right there in the middle of the video. That card belongs to me, something I picked up some time ago. So yes, you might have already figured out my viewpoint on this card already. Now, let's move on. So, number 1, is this card actually fun to play? And yes, it really is. Bazaar of Baghdad is an incredibly interesting card. I have so much experience playing with it, and I really love it. If you want to have a land-oriented deck, you are going to like Bazaar of Baghdad. And if you like to draw a lot of cards, you are going to like Bazaar of Baghdad. And if you enjoy toying with your graveyard, you are indeed going to like Bazaar of Baghdad. Because that's everything Bazaar of Baghdad is. Land, drawing cards, and just graveyard. Now there is also a lot of ways you can make Bazaar of Baghdad suddenly tap for mana. Just play Urborg. Now Bazaar of Baghdad taps for black. Or you can discard Riftstone Portal with Bazaar of Baghdad, and now it taps for white or green. 2. Is Bazaar of Baghdad actually a competitive card? And yes and no. There's actually only one deck that really do play and utilize Bazaar of Baghdad, and that's the Gitrog monster. Because Gitrog really triggers even though you're discarding a land. So you draw 2, discard 3, and decide to discard a land. That means you will draw a new card. So in all, it's going to be draw 2, discard 3, draw 1. If Gitrog is in play. And the Gitrog monster is quite up there among the top tier 1 competitive EDH decks. And if you are going to play the competitive EDH Gitrog monster, you should really play Bazaar of Baghdad. It is almost a must-have. Now you could play Gitrog monster without it, but it really should be in there. Now there isn't that much any other competitive EDH decks out there that are going to want to play Bazaar of Baghdad. However, you can redesign a lot of decks to make Bazaar of Baghdad look more interesting. There are actually a lot of decks out there that are interested in drawing a lot of cards and using the graveyard. So actually, competitively, Bazaar of Baghdad could end up in a lot of different decks, but they could be in need of a more redesign to be able to handle Bazaar of Baghdad better. Because in the end, you are actually going to lose the card in your hand overall every time you use Bazaar of Baghdad, unless you somehow make a trick out of it, like Madness or something like the Gitrog monster. After playing Bazaar of Baghdad in several different kinds of EDH decks, I have come to realize that there's a lot of decks out there that don't want to have a Bazaar of Baghdad in them. They can't utilize it, and they are just dying repeatedly by using it. It taps for no mana and will just destroy their hands. Number 3. Is Bazaar of Baghdad a good investment, or are we just gonna lose our money buying one? So currently, Bazaar of Baghdad can be bought from Magic Card Market something around 500 euros. On eBay you can buy one for maybe $800, or you can buy one from TCG Player at around $665. Now EDH is not a format that makes cards stay high in price. Bazaar of Baghdad's price comes from another factor. First, it's on the reserve list, which means it's never going to be reprinted ever again. Now, Bazaar of Baghdad is not allowed in Modern, and it's banned in Legacy. However, it's legal in Vintage to have 4 inside your deck, and that's where Bazaar of Baghdad gets its price from, mainly in Vintage Dredge. And in Vintage Dredge, you play 4 copies of Bazaar of Baghdad. It is just that strong. It is actually the card that defines the deck. Now, if Wizards of the Coast would decide to restrict Bazaar of Baghdad down to only 1, that would pretty much kill Vintage Dredge. And that would make the price of the card quite fall. Not entirely down to 0, because it's still on the reserve list and people will still want it, but still, it would fall down pretty much. Now that is something I think is never going to happen, because Wizard of the Coast is not trying to ban or make Vintage Dredge weaker, because Vintage Dredge is not a superior problematic deck in Vintage. Therefore, in the eyes of investment, I actually think that the Bazaar of Baghdad is not going to drop, and it is probably not going to rise either. There's not that huge demand of playing Vintage, and there is not that huge demand in cards that are interested in EDH. Therefore, I think the price is going to stand where it's currently at for some time in the future, for a very, very long time. It might increase in price a little tiny bit over years. In other words, if you're buying one from eBay, TCG Player or Card Market or whatsoever, you are probably going to find a new buyer and get the money you paid for it back equal to what you spent for it. Therefore, it is probably going to be a safe investment. And that's it for me in this video in Bazaar, Baghdad. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye!